محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أجل فرجهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى نكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب عليم قالوا طائركم معكم أين ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة يردني الرحمن بالضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني زل في ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيه من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا مهزرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملت أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذرية في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا وللذين آمنوا ونطعم لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قول من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أزل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تأكلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لتمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مزيا ولا يرجعون ومن نؤمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يأكلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند مهزرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي أنشاها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري أنه قال عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام. قال إني يجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعيذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به. فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم، إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه، السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت نعم، ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل عليهم نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل عليهم تحت الكساء. ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرفي الكساء وأومأ بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال جبرائيل يا ربي يتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم، وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال النبي ثانيا يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم مهموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وجل. मेरे मौला मुझे दो सहारा मैंने थामा है दामन तुम्हारा। मेरे मौला मुझे दो सहारा मैंने थामा है दामन तुम्हारा। जलते सूरज को तुमने उबारा मैंने थामा है दामन तुम्हारा। रे मौला मुझे दो सहारा تمہیں مشکل کشا دو جہاں ہو، تم ہی مولا کون و مکان ہو۔ انبیاء نے بھی تم کو پکارا، میرے مولا میں نے تھاما ہے دامن تمہارا، میرے مولا مجھے دو سہارا، میں نے تھاما میری کشتی بور میں پھنسی ہے، دشمنوں کے لبوں پر ہنسی ہے، کر دو نزدیک مجھ سے کنارہ، میں نے تاما ہے دامن تمہارا، میرے مولا مجھے دو سہارا، میں نے تاما ہے گردشوں میں مقدر ہے میرا، کیا کروں چار سو ہے اندھیرا، تم جو چاہو تو چمکے ستارہ، میں نے تھاما ہے دامن تمہارا، میرے مولا مجھے دو سہارا، میں نے تھاما ہے دامن تمہارا۔ اور محمد وآل محمد صلوات، اللهم صل على Muhammad وآل Muhammad. Before inshallah we start for Majlis, inshallah, let us all recite 5 times I am Yujibu, especially for all those who are sick with, and especially all that are from the sick from corona and all other diseases, for the safety of the Muslims, for the safety of our holy places, and for all those in need of du'as. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء، 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 أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
We'll begin with Surah Al-Fatiha for each of our deceased. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in, ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على صاحب الدعوة النبوية والسولة الحيدرية والإسمة الفاطمية والحلم الحسنية والشجاعة الحسينية والعبادة السجادية والمآثر الباقرية والآثار الجعفرية والعلوم الكادمية والحجج الرددية والجود الثقبية والنقابة النقبية والهيبة العسكرية والغيبة الإلهية. أما بعد، فقد قال الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. I'll make a request from the team at the masjid. There's a bit of an echo that I can hear from my end, if they can try to reduce it if possible. With that said, first and foremost, I would like to congratulate everyone on this auspicious occasion of the birth of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam al-Muttaqeen, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Unfortunately, due to circumstances, I wasn't able to join you in person upon this night. But no matter what happens, it's still a night of blessing. It is still a night where we rejoice and we celebrate the birth of an individual who was unparalleled in human history. Living in the modern world, there are pros and there are cons as well. One of the cons is that with the ease of transport, disease also transports. We pray for everyone in humanity who has been afflicted by this virus. And we pray for the opportunity that we can gather in person in order to remember our Imams. You know, one of the aspects of these gatherings, and I've always been a proponent that these gatherings should be in person. Because not only do you gain knowledge, but you meet members of your community as well. But these are exceptional circumstances, and the domain of public health is one which should be taken seriously. But what we can do, even though we're not gathering in person upon this night, is we can reach out to members of our community, congratulating them. And no, I don't mean sending out a WhatsApp forward to 100 people, and God knows how many people read that. But a personalized message to members of your community and your family, congratulating them on the birth of Amir al-Mu'mineen. For our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh, he would say, Man sarra mu'minan faqad sarrana. That the one who has made a believer happy has made us happy. And the one who has made us happy, he has made the Prophet of God happy. And the one who has made the Prophet of God happy, he has made Allah happy. So on this day, one of the things which we can do is we can gladden the hearts of those who are around us. And what a greater happiness is there than the birth of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib. You know, we as Muslims in our life, we are taught that when it comes to God, we stand in between a state of fear and hope. That's why even when it's written, when you stand in Salat and you're standing, one side is to the front, one side is to the back. And as you stand still, and you stand straight, the goal is to stand in the middle of hope and fear. That you hope for the mercies of God and you still have fear for the grandeur of God. But oftentimes when we think of what does it mean to fear, we think of bodily afflictions coming upon us. We think about not attaining that position in paradise. But one of the aspects that we should fear is that we lose cognizance and ma'rifah and understanding of God and the divine saints of God, including Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib. You see, it's a difficult topic on this night that when you speak about Amir al-Mu'mineen, in reality, you're trying to take a droplet from an ocean. You know, if any of you had a body of water and you place your hand within the water, you find that the water, it'll spill off from your hand. But what's remaining are the residues. And that's what it's like speaking about Amir al-Mu'mineen. That although no speaker can encompass the reality of the Imam because it remains elusive. As the Prophet of God said, Ya Ali, Ma araf Allah illa ana wa ant. That, O Ali, none has understood God except for you and I. Wa ma arafani illa Allah wa ant. And O Ali, none has understood me except for Allah and you. And then he says, Ya Ali, wa ma arafaka illa Allah wa ana. And none has understood you, O Ali, except for God and myself. So you find that, any discussion about the Imam, we find that his reality, it remains elusive from us. And we're left with that residue upon our hand as if we're grasping for the ocean. But even that residue is enough to benefit us. You see, this individual was a man who was universal in the truest sense of the word. That when you look at the word universal in English, you find that it comes from a Latin root, which is unum versus alias. And what that means is one, many. That when you look at the world, you find the world is a world of differences. It's a world of multiplicity. That there are people who pursue different knowledges. There are people from different ethnic backgrounds. There are people from different schools of thought. But you find no matter where you may be from, the universal figure of Amir al-Mu'mineen is one which each and every single person can benefit from. That if you want to look at the universality of Imam Ali from the angle of theology, that look at the different sects and schools of thought in Islam, you find amongst the Shia, he is viewed as the first Imam. That amongst others, he is the fourth Caliph. That amongst the Sufis, he is the leader of virtually every single tariqah and order. That no matter which theological position you took within Islam, the common factor was Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. Further than that, when you look at people, that the followers of Amir al-Mu'mineen, they come from all different geographical backgrounds. They're of all different ethnicities. Just recently in Dallas, and I'm not speaking about something which I heard secondhand or third hand or something halfway across the world. Here in Dallas, I met a young man who became Shia, that he came from a Christian family. He is originally from Pennsylvania, your home state, and he became a Shia. So I asked him that what was the driving force behind it. He said that I was studying Arabic at the American University in Beirut. When I was studying Arabic there, I made a friend. That friend took me to their villages. So when I went to his village in the south of Lebanon, I discussed with them and I met his family. As I was leaving, their mother gave me a copy of Nahjul Balagha. After reading Nahjul Balagha, I came to the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. That this individual, if you think about it, he didn't meet Amir al-Mu'mineen in person. He didn't hear the voice of the Imam. All he read were the words of the Imam, and through the reading of the words of the Imam, he came to the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And this is the universality of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Further than that, when I'm on the subject of discussing the universal nature of the Imam, you find that amongst the different sciences and the different knowledges, the common factor amongst many of these is Amir al-Mu'mineen. For example, when you look at Arabic grammar, that when Islam began to spread, there were no harakat, there were no vowels on the Quran. When you pick up the Quran today, you see the Quran with the fatha, the dhamma, the kasra, you see the dots. None of this existed. And because many people, they weren't native speakers of the Arabic language, they would make mistakes in the recitation of the Quran. Amongst all of the companions, the one who had the vision of ensuring that the Quran is recited correctly was Amir al-Mu'mineen. He took his companion by the name of Abu al-Aswad al-Du'ali. He said, "O Abu al-Aswad, I will recite the Quran. And as I am reciting the Quran, look at my lips. And based upon the placement of my lips, Abu al-Aswad would make a dot for the fatha, a dot for the kasra below, for the fatha above, and for the dhamma. And based upon that way, later on, the fatha, the dhamma, and the kasra, as we know it, were added towards the Quran. But you find originally this was something that Amir al-Mu'mineen had dictated to Abu al-Aswad al-Du'ali. Further than that, you find in the realm of the tafsir of the Quran, Amir al-Mu'mineen's contributions can be seen there as well. For example, there was an individual who came from Rome. When he came from Rome, he said to Amir al-Mu'mineen that I am not a Muslim. But when I am speaking towards you and I read your Quran, the Quran, it says, Ahdina sirat al-mustaqim. That you in your Quran, you say, guide us and keep us upon the straight path. Is Islam not the straight path? That if you think about it, that if you're on the straight path, why are you saying Ahdina sirat al-mustaqim? You know, when others, they didn't have an answer to this question, that Roman man, Amir al-Mu'mineen, answered that question. He said that if you're sitting and I say, stand, you would stand up. But if you are standing and I said to you, stand, you would remain standing at that point. When we say, Ahdina sirat al-mustaqim, keep us upon the straight path, it's not that we're not saying that we are not on the straight path, but we're asking God to keep us firm upon that path. So once again, even though the science was different and there were differences, the common factor and that common point of learning which was universal was Amir al-Mu'mineen. And you know, if I were to speak about the extent of the knowledge of the Imam, this is something which is 10, 15, 20 lectures. But it goes to say that even in fields which we don't traditionally consider Islamic, although amongst the Muslim thinkers in society and history, every science was seen as one which could take one to God. Even in these sciences which we traditionally don't see as Islamic, Amir al-Mu'mineen has contributions and his brilliance is seen there as well. For example, a man, he comes up to the Imam. He says, I have 17 camels. And I want to divide these 17 camels in such a way that 1/2 goes to my eldest son, 1/3 goes to my second son, and 1/9 it goes to my smallest son. Now, since you're sitting at home, you can have your calculators and do the math out with this. But what did he say? He says, I have 17 camels, 1/2 for one, 1/3 for one, 1/9 for one. That how should I divide this? The Imam said it's very simple. I'll give you one of my camels. At that point, he had a total of 18. The Imam said, go and give 9 to your eldest son, that is half. Go and give 6 to your second son, which is 1/3. And then give 2 to your smallest son, which is 1/9. And you have a remainder of 1 camel. And give me back my camel. That man was astounded at the level of the brilliance of Amir al-Mu'mineen, even in the subject of mathematics. But you know, continuing along this discussion, you find the Imam, he even had contributions in what we call modern physics and the modern world as well. You know, there's a tradition which is recorded within our books of hadith. That tradition, it states that one day, أن الإمام علي كان جالسا على نهر الفرات. That Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was sitting by the Furat. And as he was sitting by the Furat, he had a stick within his hand. He would take that stick and he would touch the top of that water. So one of his companions, he said to the Imam that he began to speak to the Imam, and the Imam replied to him by saying, لو شئت لاستخرجت لكم من الماء نورا ونارا. He said an interesting line. The Imam says that if I wanted to, I could bring light and fire out of this water. Now many discussed that is this because the Imam has wilayatul taqweeni, and because of that he can bring fire out of the water, out of the will of Allah. We say yes, he can. But you find there are deeper points to this as well. That deeper point goes to show how far the vision of Amir al-Mu'mineen was. The Imam, he says that I could have brought out fire and light from this water. Even today, just now today, we are understanding that through water, electricity can be generated, that you can have hydroelectric energy coming. And that energy, it can produce light, it can produce heat. But it was this Ali ibn Abi Talib that 1400 years ago he was saying that if I wanted to, I could bring light and heat fire out of this water. Even the Imam, that if you want to continue to look at the extent of the knowledge of the Imam even has contributions in the area of zoology. Many people, they may be sitting at home at this moment and they'll say, in which ways did the Imam contribute to zoology? A man, he comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, "Oh Ali, tell me all of those animals which lay eggs and all of those animals which give birth without laying eggs." Now, he wanted to deceive the Imam. He was trying to do that so that the Imam could have a long discussion and he would mention each of the animals. But Amir al-Mu'mineen, he showed just how far-reaching his knowledge is. He says at that moment that all of those animals whose ears are external, they don't lay eggs. And all of those animals whose ears are internal, they lay eggs. End of discussion. That final part was my own adding. The Imam didn't say that. But you find the Imam decisively, he goes and he shows his knowledge. And this is why there's a famous line by Ibn Abil Hadid al-Mu'tazili. Ibn Abil Hadid, he was not a Shia. He was a Sunni who came from the theological school of the Mu'tazilites. And he wrote a commentary on Nahjul Balagha, that even as a non-Shia, there are individuals in history that would make the point of studying and commenting upon Nahjul Balagha, whether it was Muhammad Abdu at Al-Azhar or whether it was Ibn Abil Hadid. Ibn Abil Hadid, in his commentary, he says that وَعْلَمْ أن التوحيد والعدل والمباحث الشريفة الإلهية ما عرفت إلا من كلام هذا الرجل وإن كلام غيره من أكابر الصحابة لم يتضمن شيئا من ذلك أصلا. He says that the knowledge of what? He says that all of the knowledge of Tawheed and all of these different subjects of the religion, they would not be known except through the pen of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. And the types of knowledge he would give, not even the greatest of companions other than him would have that type of knowledge. That this is an individual who is speaking about Amir al-Mu'mineen. And like I said, when it comes to the topic of Amir al-Mu'mineen, there's so much to say, and time, unfortunately, is always against us when it comes to this subject. But this is that man about whom Khalil ibn Ahmad al-Farahidi would say, احتياج الكل إليه واستغناؤه عن الكل دليل على أنه إمام الكل في الكل. That he says the need of everyone for him, Amir al-Mu'mineen, and him being free of needing them is proof that he is the leader of everyone and everything. This is that man when an individual by the name of Dirar ibn Damra al-Kanani, he comes to Muawiyah. Muawiyah says to him, Sifli Aliyan, describe for me Ali ibn Abi Talib. Dirar, he says that how can I describe this man? I don't want to describe him. But Muawiyah, he insists at that moment. And Dirar, he gives a description of Amir al-Mu'mineen, which leaves us reflecting that where are we and where is the character of Ali ibn Abi Talib? You know how he describes the Imam. He says, Kana wallahi ba'id al-mada shadid al-quba. He says that by Allah, he was far-reaching, that nothing was beyond his grasp, and he was strong within his strength and his faculties. يَقُولُ فَصْلًا وَيَحْكُمُ عَدْلًا. That he would speak decisively, and he would rule and decide with justice. He would say, يَتَفَجَّرُ الْإِلْمَ مِنْ جَوَانِبِهِ وَتُنْطَقُ الْحِكْمَةُ مِنْ نَوَاحِهِ. He would say that knowledge would split open from his sides, and that wisdom would be spoken from his direction. يَسْتَوْهِشُ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا وَزَحْرَتِهَا. That he would be somebody who was away from the dunya, and he would find comfort at night time worshipping his Lord. Then he begins to describe the social characteristics of the Imam. He says to him that وَكَانَ فِينَا كَأَحَدِينَا. He says that Ali, when he was amongst us, he was like one of us. That he didn't say, I'm higher than you, I'm better than you, I'm more knowledgeable than you. When he was amongst us, he was like one of us. And when we would go towards him, he would bring us close to him. When we would ask him a question, he would answer us. And when we would invite him, he would accept our invitation. That time after time again, people, they saw the universality of the Imam. They were attracted by the character of Amir al-Mu'mineen. You know, in a separate tradition, a man by the name of Ash-Sha'bi, he says, دَخَلْتُ الرُّحْبَةَ بِالْكُوفَةِ. That I came towards the courtyard of Kufa, Masjid al-Kufa. When I came towards that courtyard, within it I saw that Ali ibn Abi Talib was sitting there. And in front of him was a pile of gold and silver, the likes of which I hadn't seen. He would take from that, he would give it to the people. He would take again, he would give it to the people. And he kept doing this to such an extent that when he returned home, this enormous pile, the likes of which I've never seen, when he returned home, he had nothing in his hand. He says, I went to my father. When I went to my father, I said to him that, who is Ali ibn Abi Talib? My father says, why do you want to know? He says, either this is the most foolish man upon earth, or he is the greatest man upon this earth. For I saw him give in a way I've never seen anyone give before. My father replied to me by saying that this is the best of those in the eyes of God. This is Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. You know, it's stated in the Battle of Uhud that Amir al-Mu'mineen, he went out in a manner when other people, they weren't willing to go out. You know, Amr bin Abdul Wid, he jumps over in the Battle of Khandaq, my apologies. Amr bin Abdul Wid, he jumps over the Khandaq, he jumps over the trench, and he looks at the Muslims. All of them were in fear. He says to them that, you know, if you kill me, you get paradise. And if I kill you, then you get paradise. Why doesn't one of you fight me? You know, no one, they stand up. But Amir al-Mu'mineen, upon that day, he stands up when the Prophet of God asked him. You know, after the Imam, he killed Amr bin Abdul Wid. The sister of Amr went by the body of Amr. That when the sister of Amr saw that body, and they told her that Ali had killed this individual, her brother, she said, what an honorable individual has killed my brother. And she began to recite lines of poetry which are found within the Shar of Ibn Abil Habib. You know what those lines are? She said, لو كان قاتل أمر غير قاتله. That if the killer of Amr was none other than his killer, it was none other than Ali. بقيته أبدا ما دمت في الأبد. That I would cry for him forever, never ceasing. لكن قاتله من لا نذير له. But his killer is the one who has no comparison amongst the people. وَكَانَ يُدْعَى أَبُوهُ بَيْدَةَ الْبَلَدِ. And his father was the whiteness and the light of the city. That when Amir al-Mu'mineen kills this lady's brother because he was an enemy of God, she recited these lines of poetry. And tonight, you know, I'm not here to take too long, I know the majlis virtually is much different for you and for me, because usually when you give a lecture, although it's a monologue in terms of words, it is a dialogue in terms of body language. So that element, unfortunately, isn't there tonight. But there are certain aspects related to the universality of Amir al Mu'mineen found within the Quran that I want to mention before concluding, and we can open the discussion up to questions. And I believe the Jamaat has made arrangements so you can send them in, and I can reply to those questions, particularly those related to the life and teachings of the Imam. So, when it comes to the mention of Amir al Mu'mineen in the Quran, you find that this is another angle which shows the universality of the Imam. The Prophet of God would say, Aliyun ma'al Quran wal Quranu ma'a aliyin. That Ali is with the Quran and the Quran is with Ali ibn Abi Talib. That when you look at this Quran, you find non-Shia scholars such as Asqalani and Suyuti. They've said that 300 verses were revealed in the praise of Amir al-Mu'mineen. That imagine 300 verses of the Quran. And this is not a Shia who is saying this. This is somebody like Jalaluddin Suyuti who is saying this. And our scholars, they go even higher than that. But the question comes up, and it's a valid question, is that if there are so many verses in the praise of Imam Ali in the Quran, then why is the name of Amir al-Mu'mineen not explicitly mentioned within the Quran? I'll mention 5 or 6 points related to this question. I'll give a few of the verses related to the Imam, and I'll conclude tonight's discussion. You see, when somebody asks this question, and it's an age-old question which has been asked throughout history, it's something which is asked today, is that why is the name of Imam Ali explicitly as Ali ibn Abi Talib not within the Quran? You see, when somebody they say this, there are two false presumptions which are made within this question. That the moment this question is proposed and it's brought up, there are two false presumptions within it. The first false presumption is that if the name of Ali was in the Quran, then everyone would believe in the wilayah and the imama of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. You find this is a false presumption. Why? That when you look at history, there were prophets who brought the most explicit and the outwards of miracles. That in front of Moses, people would see that the staff of Moses would turn into a snake. People would see the luminous hand of Moses. People would see Jesus bring the dead back to life. That if you want to understand if a person is divine, what more proof do you want that a man is bringing a dead individual back to life? But despite these explicit and outwards and clear and decisive miracles, not everyone believed in the religion of Isa or Musa. Who is to say that if the name of Ali was explicitly within the Quran, that everyone would believe in the Imam of Amir al-Mu'mineen? So you find that this is the first false presumption in the question. The second false presumption within the question is that this question, it implies that everything within the Quran is important, everything outside of the Quran is not important. And this is a mistake, which is a large mistake fundamentally, because the Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, atiyu Allah wa atiyu rasulah. It says obey Allah and His Prophet. It doesn't say just obey Allah. That the hadith and the sunnah of the Prophet is a fundamental aspect of a source where we take our religion from. It is not just the Quran, but you have the hadith as well. Now, this is the first aspect of this question. The second aspect of this question and second reply we can give, and although it's not the best reply, but in mantiq there's something called jawabun naqdi, that you give a reply by saying, why is the name of the khulafa not mentioned within the Quran? That if you say this is such an important topic, that the name of Ali has to be within the Quran for him to be a person who has a high status, then why is their name not mentioned within the Quran? Now, although this may not be the comprehensive answer, you find the ulama have said that this jawabun naqdi, this rebuttaling answer, is something which is acceptable at a certain level. The third aspect of this discussion is that the reason that Allah did not mention the name of Amir al-Mu'mineen explicitly within the Quran is to prevent the tahrif and the distortion of the Quran. You see, the Quran, it says that we are its guardians, that Allah will guard this Quran, but at the same time there is a psychology of speaking. And within this psychology, there was nothing that was said which would lead these kuffar to distort the Quran in terms of the wording found within it. And this is why what Allah He does instead is that instead of the name of Imam Ali in the Quran explicitly as a lafz, as a word, He puts the virtues and the manaqib and the fadail of Amir al-Mu'mineen within the Quran, and that is something which cannot be copied by anyone. You know, on the day of Khaybar, the Prophet, he said that tomorrow I will give the flag to a man. لَأُعْتِيَنَّ الرَّايَةَ غَدًا رَجُلًا كَرَّارًا وَغَيْرِ فَرَّارٍ يحب الله ورسوله ويحبه الله ورسوله. You know, he said, I will give the flag to a man, somebody who is brave, somebody who doesn't run away, somebody who loves Allah and His Prophet, and Allah and His Prophet love him. You know, he could have ended the discussion by saying that tomorrow I'll give the flag to Ali. But the fact that he gives these virtues of the Imam and these descriptions of the Imam, it is for people like you and I that we should understand. It's not enough to just know the name Ali ibn Abi Talib. It is to understand the attributes and the teachings of Ali ibn Abi Talib and his virtues. Because the more we understand him, the more we understand the system of God, and we understand what God He wants from us. You know, this is that man whom verse after verse it praises him. Whether it's chapter 5, verse 55 that says, إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُمْ رَاكِعُونَ. That your wali, your guardian is Allah and His Prophet, and from amongst the believers, that believer who establishes prayer and gives away zakat while he is in a state of ruku and bowing. That it stated Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was in the mosque of the Prophet. A beggar comes towards that mosque. The beggar, he begins to ask and no one gives towards him. At that moment he raises his hand. He says, Oh Allah, I am in the mosque of your Prophet, and I am asking over here. But when I ask, nobody gives towards me. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he lifts his hand, and the beggar takes the ring off the hand of Amir al-Mu'mineen. You find a verse, it comes down. On the night where the Prophet was going from Makkah towards Medina, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he sleeps upon the bed of the Prophet. A verse, it comes down, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ. That from amongst the people is the one who sells his soul seeking the pleasure of God. You know, Amir al-Mu'mineen said that the minimum price that you should sell your soul is for heaven. That he doesn't say heaven is the maximum price. Many people, you and I, we think that heaven is that ultimate goal we can attain. But Amir al-Mu'mineen says that when you look at the value of the soul, heaven is just the minimum. That you, O human being, you have such potentialities that you couldn't even imagine the potential which exists within you. And if you want to see the perfected actualization of that potential, then you look at Amir al-Mu'mineen, whom according to this verse it states that he sold his soul seeking the pleasure of God. That Creator, who is the ontological source and foundation of everything, Amir al-Mu'mineen sold himself, that he was fana, that he dissolved his own self within that creator. You find a verse that comes down, and verse after verse, it's included amongst these likes. But today is the 13th of Rajab. This is that day that the mother of Amir al-Mu'mineen, she gave birth to Ali ibn Abi Talib. I wanted to conclude by reciting that narration which describes how Fatima bint Asad, she entered the Kaaba. You find that the narrator is a man by the name of Yazid ibn Qa'nab. He says, كنت جالسا مع العباس ibn Abdul Muttalib. He says that I was sitting with the uncle of the Prophet Abbas by the side of the Kaaba. As I was sitting by the side of the Kaaba, we saw a lady who was pregnant, referring to Fatima bint Asad. She goes towards the Kaaba and she was in labor at that moment. And she began to recite a dua that he records and he narrates what the dua of the mother of Amir al-Mu'mineen was. You know what the mother of the Imam, she prayed? She said, Rabbi inni mu'minatun bika wa bima ja'a min indik. That, oh my Lord, I am a believer in you and what you have sent min rusulin wa kutubin, from amongst the prophets and the books. Wa inni musaddiqatun bi kalami jaddi Ibrahim al-Khalil alayhi salam, and I am a believer in the words of Ibrahim. Then after that she says, oh Allah, فبحق الذي بنى هذا البيت وبحق المولود الذي في بطني لما يسرت علي ولادتي. That if you want to look at the dua of the mother of Amir al-Mu'mineen, she prayed through two things. She said, oh Allah, I ask through the right of this house, and I ask through the right of that child which is within my womb. That even the mother of Amir al-Mu'mineen, before the birth of the Imam, she would pray through the right of Ali ibn Abi Talib that make this birth easy upon me. The narrator, he says, that at that moment, I saw the walls of the Kaaba, they split open, and she enters the Kaaba and the walls, they close. He says, me and Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, the uncle of the Prophet, we went towards the door. We tried to open the door of the Kaaba, but the door of the Kaaba, it doesn't open. At that point, we realized that this was a divine doing, that this was amongst the miracles of God. And after 3 days, you find that she emerges from the Kaaba with Amir al-Mu'mineen. You find when Maryam was giving birth to Jesus, Allah said, Maryam, this is a house of ibadah. This isn't a house of wiladah. But when it comes to the birth of Amir al-Mu'mineen, not only was Fatima bint Asad told not to exit, but you find she was told to enter the house of God. And these were from amongst the virtues and the status of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib. We pray to God, O Allah, through the right of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, through the right of Ali bin Abi Talib, on this auspicious occasion, wherever the followers of Ahlul Bayt are in difficulty, help them. O Allah, we ask through the right of Ahlul Bayt that there is disease and sickness within our world. We pray for the safety of humanity. We pray for the protection of the believers. We pray for the strength to walk upon the footsteps of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, to benefit from the teachings of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, to receive the intercession of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, and to be resurrected with Muhammad and Ali Muhammad upon the day of judgment. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. This venture was a bit different for myself and for you as well. But the Jamaat has opened the door to questions. You can send them in electronically, and I can answer these questions to the best of my abilities. And if we have any questions, I'll request those who are at the mosque to send them over towards me, and from that we can begin the discussion about these questions. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. As the questions are coming in, if you could recite one Surah Al-Fatiha for your deceased. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Brothers and sisters at home, the few of us that are here at the center, Sayyid Bilal, Assalamu alaikum. So first I just want to begin by wishing each of you, and again your respected families, a blessed Kushali Mubarak. Of course, this is very unusual in terms of carrying out a program. Usually this building, these halls are filled with people. At this point, we would be waiting for getting up and obviously wishing and greeting each other. But I first want to thank Sayyid Bilal for accommodating this request to give the live lecture from his home. So Sayyid Bilal, really appreciate you doing that. As well, all those, I know this has been, again, an inconvenience for all of us. But again, not an easy decision that we had to make to close the center. It was really for the safety, not just of our elders, but really everybody in our community. And, again, we went back and forth on this, and again, seeing how other centers have also responded, we believe this was the right thing to do. And I know many of you supported that decision, as we discussed at Jummah prayers yesterday, and as well those who attended the conference call in the evening. Inshallah, we'll continue to monitor this matter very closely. And at least for the next 2 weeks, again, this center will remain closed. Based on the participation tonight that we see online, we're going to try to continue these programs using this format in the interim till we're able to, again, resume here as usual. As Sayed mentioned, we are doing the Q&A. There are two ways to get your questions over to us. One is to use the live chat that's available within YouTube. So if you look at your screens, you'll see a live chat option. You can submit your questions. If you wish to submit those questions anonymously, meaning you don't want everyone to see the question you're sending, you can text them to me personally. I've listed my text number or my cell phone number in the chat itself. You can text those, and what we'll do while we're, say Bilal, if it's okay with you, while we're collecting the questions, we'll just continue briefly. I know right now we have about 1 or 2 questions. I think they're still coming in. So we'll just give folks time to submit their questions. We'll just take a few minutes and honor Imam Ali with some poetry, and then we'll resume with the question and answer before the ziyarat. Bismillah.
صلوات على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرج. زبان میلی نہیں ہوتی دہن میلا نہیں ہوتا زبان میلی نہیں ہوتی دہن میلا نہیں ہوتا علی جس من میں بس جائے وہ من میلا نہیں ہوتا. نشان ماتم کے ہو جس پر بدن میلا نہیں ہوتا. اگر آیا ہو کربل سے کفن میلا نہیں ہوتا. ولائے مرتضی رکھنے سے ہی بندہ حلالی ہے. ولائے مرتضی رکھنے سے ہی بندہ حلالی ہے. علی کا عشق ہو من میں وہ من میلا نہیں ہوتا. یار علی کا عشق ہو من میں وہ من میلا نہیں ہوتا. میرے غازی کے پرچم کا جہاں سایہ بھی پڑ جائے. میرے غازی کے پرچم کا جہاں سایہ بھی پڑ جائے. قسم غازی کی وہ گھر کیا صحن میلا نہیں ہوتا. نشان ماتم سرور سجے ہو جس کے سینے پر تو مٹی میں مل کر وہ بدن میلا نہیں ہوتا. اگر خاک شفا سے لکھ دیا جائے علی مولا. اگر خاک شفا سے لکھ دیا جائے علی مولا تو زیر خاک رہ کر بھی کفن میلا نہیں ہوتا. تو زیر خاک رہ کر بھی یا علی یا علی زباں میلی نہیں ہوتی دہن میلا نہیں ہوتا. صلوات علی محمد وآل محمد. اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجہم.
افضل السلام علیک یا رسول اللہ محمد وآل محمد. صلو علی محمد بآل محمد عرفت ثواب وفي أبياتهم نزل الكتاب بآل محمد نور فاس ثواب وفي أبياتهم نزل الكتاب فهم هجج الإله على البرايا بهم وبذاتهم لا يستراب بآل محمد عرفت ثواب وفي أبياتهم نزل الكتاب ولا سيما أبا حسن عليا له في الحب مكتبة تهاب بآل محمد الثواب وفي أبياتهم نزل الكتاب علي النور وذهب المصفى وما في الناس كلهم تراب بآل محمد عرف الثواب وفي أبياته نزل الكتاب علی کا نام بھی نام خدا راہ سے جاں ہے علی کا نام بھی نام حرص فلاں ہے علی کا نام بھی نام خدا سے یہ جوان ہے ریا نام علی تو بلا سب تری عرش اعظم پیری کہے نام علی پر مشکل تو ہے جو مجاز علی رہے ورد زبان شیعاناز علی رہے ورد زبان شیعاناز علی پر مشکل تو ہے جو مجاز علی کے نام سے دونوں جہاں میں عزت ہے علی کا ذکر ہے خالق کی اطاعت ہے علی کے نام سے غمگین دلوں کو فرحت ہے کرو حق سے دعا تو بنا میں علی ہوگی حاجت روا تو بنا میں علی پر مشکل تو کہہ مدد علی رہے ورد زبان شیعاناز علی رہے ورد شیعہ علی پر مشکل تو کہہ مدد یا علی الہی واسطہ تجھ کو محمد مصطفیٰ کا الہی واسطہ تجھ کو علی مرتضیٰ کا الہی واسطہ تجھ کو حسنین کا اور فاطمہ کا رہے ایمان ہمارے سلامت سدا مومنوں کو نہ ہو کوئی رنج و بلا پر مشکل تو کہہ مدد یا علی رہے ورد زباں شیعہ ناز علی رہے ورد زباں شیعہ ناز علی پر مشکل تو کہہ مدد یا علی افضل السلام سلام علیک یا رسول اللہ محمد وآل محمد صلو علی محمد الہی ببیما راستے بلا جو بیمار ہو جلد پاوے شفا الہی برائے امام زمان ہمیں ہو شخص دے تو امان قیامت کو معصوم رہو علی اٹھے خواب سے کہ ہم یا علی ہے پانچ ونوں میں شہادتان احمد و علی زہرا وحسن شبیر سے امام زمان شبیر سے امام زمان ایک صدا صلوات پڑھو صلوات صلوات کے سارے گوہر جو نبی بلند صفات ہوئے صلوات صلوات و سلام یا امام زمان والماء نور یا امام میں زمان صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كل وليك حجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك سوءا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على
محمد وآل محمد Our apologies, please. We had a couple of questions, but we are going to defer for tonight question and answer session. For the questions, inshallah, that are sent, Said Bilal will get back. Once again, thank you very much to Sheikh Bilal, Said Bilal, and all others for attending. Inshallah, tawajjuh ziyarah.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا نبي الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. السلام عليك والسلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبا الفضل العباس وأختك زينب وبنتك سكينة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان سيدي الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان، السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهور الأمر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.